Joseph. Is that your real name? Joseph?
Yeah, I go by Joe.
Yeah, I know.
Brandon, how's it going, buddy? I mean, Brad,
Bradley.
how's it going?
Bradley,
not
yeah.
Brandon.
Don't call me fucking Brandon.
Let's go, buddy.
Yeah, fuck you.
That's what I find that one just absolutely friggin' hysterical, to be honest. But
culture war is about to ramp up in this country, dude.
That leaked.
Yeah, it's gonna get fucking ugly.
Oh, it's like if you wanted a motivating issue for the progressives and Democratic constituents to get out, you just threw it to them.
It's a fucking gift to Democrats. It's a fucking gift. It is silver platter.
Because
you just changed the dynamic of everything.
Well, yeah, and it's not, and it's really not even about the abortion issue. It's about women's rights. And
well, it is, but
it
also,
that's what I'm saying to them.
Yeah, and the foundations of those rulings were based on privacy being protected in the Constitution. And what that opinion says is that it isn't protected in the Constitution, which then rolls back gay marriage.
That privacy isn't?
Yeah. Interracial marriage and a slew of other shit that are based on the privacy being protected in the Constitution. So
you're saying that it says no privacy is protected in the Constitution?
Yeah, their Alito's claim is that the basis for the decision, and this is they're called originalists, people like him and Barrett and Kavanaugh, all those pieces of shit. Perjured.
No, I know they're the literal interpretation, like the Constitution doesn't grow over time.
And so the Constitution doesn't say there's a right to privacy, so there is no right to privacy. And so that is.
Well, no, I think what about Castle Doctrine? And, there is a specific claims to privacy in the home related to when, the British would basically take over houses and live in them. But, the Castle Doctrine is not just search and seizure, it's everything.
But their thing is it doesn't say it, so it isn't there. And
so they're saying there is no privacy in anything.
There's no, well, that's
that's bullshit. That's never going to hold.
Right. Well, that's what overthrowing this says. Now, the other interesting thing streaming up today is that Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett all perjured themselves to the Senate because they all said settled law, can't do anything about it, won't touch it, etc. So now there's people saying, well, I think we have grounds for impeachment. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that argument holds because I don't think that'll go anywhere. But I think the first one on privacy, that's a pretty interesting issue. I didn't read it that way. I mean, my feeling on the issue, to be honest, at this point, is just pass legislation.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You're giving states the rights to control it with this.
No, I mean, you pass federal legislation.
That's the only thing you can do, but that's not
because this is kind of a compromise solution that isn't really, this Roe v. Wade hasn't really been a solution. It's sort of a indirect way at it because it doesn't specifically say anything. And I think that the easiest way to clean it up is just federal legislation.
Yeah, well, I think that would be ideal. Whether or not Congress can pass anything is another issue. They'll have to overturn the filibuster.
I think you just hinge this all on women's rights.
Look, I mean, they're only
the only reason I'm pro-choice is for women's rights.
Yeah, 67% of the American public opposes overturning Roe v. Wade. 27% support it. So this is not a winning issue for Republicans. It is in their districts, but it's not for Senate races, and it's gonna kill them. It's gonna, on one hand, I'm thankful. On the other hand, it's ugly. So anyway,
it'll be entertaining at least.
Yeah. So speaking of the politics of it, here, let me share my screen, Joe. Okay. So had this interesting dynamic happening, two-bit idiot, Ryan Selkin, CEO of Masari, which is a data analytics company for crypto, has been kind of leading the charge on the one issue campaigns where he doesn't give a shit what anybody's viewpoints are. He's going to support them if they're pro crypto. And, I get it. I understand that kind of point of view. He doesn't care, Democrat, Republican, but he leans right from what you can see of what he posts. But it looks like there's been some flow of cash into the midterm elections via crypto. So executives, PACs that have been set up, et cetera, has been flowing in. So it's going to be interesting to see if it has if there's a case to make that crypto could influence the elections. Because my point all along on the elections is you have to scare the shit out of the incumbents that oppose us or that are on the fence by showing that you can beat incumbents that are anti-crypto, which is why I've been so into Erica Rhodes' campaign in California against the biggest enemy we have in Congress, Brad Sherman. The problem is a lot of them have been focusing on Ryan Selkins especially, and he and I actually debated this on Twitter quite a bit. He's been focusing on Senate races. And my point is you can't make an impact giving money to a multi-million-dollar Senate race. Like you're just not going to have an impact. You're not going to be able to say crypto did this. What crypto should be focused on is supporting pro-crypto candidates in Republican or Democratic leaning districts where there is no doubt that whoever the nominee is going to be the congressperson. Because there you can have an impact. You can unseat incumbents, you can defeat the anti-crypto candidates that come into open races, and you can prove that you poured millions in and had PACs running campaigns against those to make an impact. But they've been focusing a lot on Senate races, and I think it's a mistake from a cash perspective, but whatever. I'm glad to see money going in, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we know all about your passion for that.
Yes.
I can remember a few rants back there.
Yeah, there's plenty more.
Don't worry. I'm surprised that you would. So what did you say to him? What was your recommended strategy? More in the smaller races or in the
go after
state races?
Go after races you can actually impact. Go after congressional races where it's a safe seat, Republican or Democrat, and you can go after an incumbent that's anti-crypto. Brad Sherman's district is a great example of that. But whoever wins the nomination, Republican or Democrat, is going to be the congressperson, right? The general election then doesn't matter because you can have far more impact in a primary spending-wise and win a primary and then tell all of the other members of Congress, this is what we do to incumbents. This is what we do to people, to candidates that don't support crypto. That's the case you have to make. And then you have to show that you're flooding money into pro-crypto candidates for their reelection. But primaries are where you can make an impact. Primaries, and we're running out of time now, so it's irrelevant. But primaries where we had the shot to really show that crypto had power and could consolidate its money into races and win them. But once you get out of primary season, now you're in general election season. The Republicans in safe districts, most of them are safe, are going to win. The Democrats in safe districts, most of them are going to win. You're not going to be able to prove to other members of Congress that you were an impact. And so that's what's key. And you're not going to get the rest of Congress to come on your side. Those that are on the border, on the fence, they don't know what to think. They haven't bothered to research it. If you don't show them fear and if you don't show them that you give money to the people that are on your side, that's how Congress works. I mean, that's the whole game. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Follow the NRA model, the APAC model, those types of models.
Yeah, own those districts. That's the only way you can do it, man. That's how politics works. It's shitty.
No, I get how politics works. I just don't know. I don't think that there's enough muscle there to pull that strategy at this point. I think, that on fear, I think that it's more about playing the strategy game, as you said, so you have two pro-crypto people in the general. So then when you come in and legislation comes up, they're already fairly educated about crypto. But I think to scare them at this point, I think that's going to take 10 years.
I don't know. You knock out a couple of incumbents, there will be fear. And if you throw enough cash at people,
if you throw enough cash.
Persuaded.
But how do you do that with current campaign finance law? You're going to say
Well,
grassroots wise, where everybody does 2,000.
Yeah, you
or
do
whatever the limit
grassroots and
is.
then you do PACs. You do super PACs. You run against your opponents in those races. You just destroy them. You don't run on crypto. You run on their voting record. You run on inflammatory negative campaigning, and you go after the incumbents that are weakest and you have the best shot at. But hopefully in the primary, because primary is your best impact opportunity.
If you can get through the 6 or 7 candidates, get your candidate through that. Just look at what's going on with who's that North Carolina guy in the wheelchair? Madison Cawthorn.
Cawthorn, yeah.
Yeah, what's going on in that primary? That's interesting. But
Well,
how
the
much money
Republicans
this
have
guy's
turned on him.
raised? Well, Tillis and some of them have, but he's outraised everybody by like 6 times.
Yeah, because the
And
Trumpers love him.
yeah. So my thing is, how do you go against? I don't know how you're going to defeat him on just say a crypto issue. If you come
No,
in
you don't. You're not listening to me. It's not about, you don't run any of these campaigns on crypto. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares about crypto. The campaign is not about crypto. The campaign is about supporting the pro crypto. For Cawthorn, unfortunately, is a pro crypto candidate. But
so would you support him?
No. Well, I don't mind if he wins or not, because that's a redneck backwards ass district. And
it's got Asheville in it, so it's got a lot of liberal votes there too.
Oh,
it's
so
Appalachia is hard red, but
so he's not a safe
and everything
district.
Else
then.
is liberal.
What did he win his last race by?
He was going to move to another district, and then he changed his mind and moved back to his original district. So he's been all over the board. But I think what's interesting is that he's got that fundraising machine going, and I think he had raised like almost 3 million. I think Tillis had like 600, but he's down to like only $250,000 in the bank, which I thought was kind of funny. And part of it is, carrying loaded guns to the airport a couple of times, which I don't see how. If I carried a loaded gun into an airport and got caught by TSA, I'd be in jail.
Yeah, well,
he's there twice now.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, this guy. I mean, he won. If he's in this, did he get redistricted? Because he won.
No,
he was
going to switch districts, and then at the last second, he changed his mind and went back to his original one.
Okay, so his last election, he won by 12 points. This is a Republican safe district, and you're going to have a Trumper there, no matter what. So, yeah, you might as well support the guy because he's a rat. He's a crazy man. But at the end of the day, somebody crazy is going to be in that seat, and so. If the district makeup hasn't changed, that's a safe Republican seat. So that's where you focus your effort. Now, if that was an anti-crypto person, then you run a really strong pro-crypto hardcore Trumper in that district, right? And you run against him. But that's what I'm saying is you concentrate your efforts on primaries where you can have an impact. You give as much money as you can grassroots to 5 or 6 campaigns in safe districts, and you go after incumbents that are anti-crypto with strong candidates. And then you also run super PAC campaigns against those incumbents in those districts. Or you pick an open seat where it's a safe Republican or safe Democratic seat, and you pick the pro-crypto candidate, you boost their campaign, and you target the primary campaigns of the closest competitor. But that's the most way you can have an impact. But you don't run on crypto. It's not about ever running on crypto, at least not in the next 15 years. It's about running on all the same things you run a campaign on and running a highly negative super PAC campaign against the opponents of your candidate. So
yeah, maybe. I'm just trying to think how the NRA does it, and how they and APAC will pick someone that goes against them, but they don't go to all the people. They just pick 1 or 2, and they just destroy them in the primary, and that's their message to everybody else. But
exactly.
They don't go completely across the board. They pick anybody who's gone against their position. So everybody knows it's the NRA.
Yeah, you've got to concentrate your weaponry, and you have to prove. Yeah, and you have to prove. You have to be able to show we caused this race to flip. We were a majority of the money spent in this district for this campaign. And that's the reason today that a pro crypto candidate, is in the general election or wins the general.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
let's see what else.
We'll see how it turns out.
Anyway, so Ryan Selkins, 2-Bit Idiot, Masari CEO, last night was flipping out on Twitter because the last thing you want, especially when you know that there's a lean on the right side for pro crypto candidates, the last thing you want is a big, massive cultural issue overriding kind of all other issues, which this should do. This should galvanize massive turnout against Republicans. So any close races, this is a real boost for Democrats. Big boost. So
you're talking back to the abortion, to the Roe v. Wade issue, or are we talking about crypto?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, crypto is not an issue anybody should.
No, I just lost the segue. I'm sorry. You're bouncing around.
Sorry,
I didn't quite get it. That's
okay. Anyway, I was talking about what Ryan's response was, because he's pissed because he doesn't want a compelling issue like that motivating Democratic turnout, because, for the most part, Democratic incumbents, I mean, there's some that are pro crypto, but it doesn't help crypto for that to happen. So that's why he's worried about it.
So you definitely see it in the political arena that the vast majority of, say, crypto supporters are more on, say, the right libertarian side.
I wouldn't say vast majority. I think there are a ton of moderates and left crypto supporters. They're just not as loud and obnoxious as the right. Yeah. And I think that there is, in terms of candidates or existing elected officials, there are more existing elected officials pro crypto on the right than there are on the left.
You got a couple of comments in.
Yeah. Chuck said, need a PAC DAO that invests funds and users profits to support candidates. So you don't have to, they exist, Chuck. There are several of those already out there. Niblet says, so run niche issues at primary level, not a general. My point is just the generals are much harder to win, takes a lot more money. So you can't show your power and influence in general elections as strongly as you can in primary elections. So that's really my point, is that it's irrelevant to issues. The issues become about what you're beating up your opponents with and what you position yourself as in the primary. But I would not have anybody run on crypto at all. I mean, maybe in New Hampshire you could do that, but that's about it. Otherwise, I would make it all about, standard campaign issues in those primaries. So, in the Republican primaries, who's kissing Trump's ass more? And in the Democratic primaries, who hates Trump more? Because that's essentially what our politics has come down to. So
I still would say that's more the Republican primary, right there in a nutshell. Those fights going on in Ohio are just,
my God, it's hilarious.
It's hysterical, man. I'm just watching that. But I am intrigued by how, I didn't expect the Trump influence to fade this fast. I mean, I thought it was going to be lingering longer, but I
think he has impact still. I think that some races, though, I mean, all they're doing is competing to be as most like Trump as possible. So the voters are like, well, okay, whatever. I like this guy better because he's still a Trumper. I like him better. He didn't get endorsed by Donald, but fuck it, And again, I think Trump can have more impact in congressional races as well instead of Senate. I mean, House races instead of Senate. But
can you imagine the ads that are going to run this fall? I mean, because look, you're missing one other big issue, which is the Russia-Ukrainian war and all the pro-Putin statements that have come out of Republicans. So if this dusts up into a big one and Americans are dead, I mean, they're going to get just destroyed on that issue too. So,
well, that requires Democrats to be smart enough to run effective campaigns.
Well, I think
and as a lifelong Democrat, I never count on Democrats to get their shit together. So
I think there's been good ones, but I agree. I think that sometimes they shoot themselves in the foot.
Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, the only.
Well, Bill Clinton won because Perot was in the election.
Well, that helped, but
20
Bill
points.
Clinton put himself in the right position, right? Bill Clinton positioned himself to the right of most of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and that was appealing. So
no, I'm
but you're
talking
right.
about the win on the general.
Yeah, Perot definitely.
I remember being out in
made a
Texas then
difference.
on a fishing trip up on the Red River when that campaign, I guess that was probably the fall or right before the election was really going strong. And just these salt of the earth folk that I was talking to up on Red River, they were all, I mean, just the way they talk about Trump now, it was all about Ross Perot going to DC and cleaning the
Yep,
house and fixing it all up.
absolutely.
So he hit that same vein that Trump hits. But, and he got 21%. But remember his presentations or his commercials where he would do like the PowerPoints, but I
Yeah,
don't think it was PowerPoint. It was just, slides or
slides. So
pictures.
what are those things? What was that called? Those things you put on
Overheads, overhead
overheads.
projection.
Overhead.
Yeah. And it was like, but it resonated. I mean, everything he said was right for the most part, in the sense of
Yeah.
the finance and budget and all of that. But it just siphoned like 20% off from, I guess the more extreme left of the Democratic Party, the more libertarian side. When I say extreme, not like, social extreme. And the more extreme elements or populist elements of the Republican, because that's all. So when Pat Buchanan was running in a lot of elections,
That's true.
and he was pulling, he was the big, the pro-life, libertarian, conservative, that was pitching all of those issues too to the populists. So it's always, we've always had that strain, or not strain, but that segment in our politics. Just how it's used, and do the people really deliver for that constituency? I would say that most politicians don't deliver to that constituency.
Yeah.
That it's exploited again. So even though they've been screwed forever, they're getting screwed by their representatives as well. But anyhow,
speaking of
exciting times.
If this page will load. So speaking of kind of whether you run on crypto or not, this pulled up. I hope they don't have the same summary highlights. It was something like a majority of Americans believe that they don't simplify the numbers like I saw in the summary. Hold on. Let me go back. I'll go back to the summary and quote it for this article. A majority of Americans believe that cryptocurrencies will become mainstream, but there was a significant number that actually believe it will be a bad thing.
Can you scroll up just a tiny bit?
Yep.
I just find it funny how like DAO is number 16 and NFTs are number 14. I just
want
to see what like 1 through 10. You guys rankings of the
most promising technologies.
3D printing. Talk about that shit for 10 years. I mean,
gene editing should be at the fucking top because that's going to save massive lives. Just
which one's that called? Gene editing. Yeah. Or I'd say it's 6. Yeah.
Gene editing and crypto should be 1 and 2. I don't care.
Artificial organs. Yeah, I would call that more personalized medicine. What's AR, VR, AI? I mean, lab grown meat, quantum, personal space travel, blockchain, metaverse, NFTs, and then I think DAOs were 16. I can't remember what 15 was, but I'm surprised that 3D printing is first.
It's so weird. It's like that's how out of touch the American public is.
Although, I like the idea.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's something people can relate to. They've all seen it. They think it's neat. They've probably seen news stories about 3D printing houses and that kind of stuff. And they figure, that could have a big impact. So let me go with that one. 3D.
Well,
printing.
Being someone who's has to go to the dentist a lot, over the last 10 years for crowns and things like that. It is kind of funny how now, not funny, haha, but amazing that they have the machine in the dentist office now that just 3D prints out the crown right there and then. You go.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yours has that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, you just zip in. They don't have to do it all and ship it off, and you come back in 3 weeks. They can do it all right there in the office, and you go out and grab a lunch or something like that and come back, and they just glue it in. So that's a good 3D printing application.
That's
I've also heard
awesome
about
example.
In with tissue and things, for organs and other types of implant stuff that you can 3D print. And then of course, unique parts for,
they've done like ears and stuff too.
I think that's all pretty cool stuff.
I wish they could replace the meniscus that I had pulled out of my knees. That's now allowing my bones to grind together.
They can, dude. It's called
what do they replace it with?
A knee.
Okay.
Knee replacement.
Oh no, I don't want a whole knee replacement surgery. I just want them to put a fucking pad in there so I don't have to. Okay, so a narrow majority of people think cryptocurrency will eventually catch on, but only 28% think it will be good for society if it does.
So 72% think it will be good for society.
No, only 28% think it will be good.
Will.
72% either didn't have an opinion. Let's see if we can find that. Impact and government investment. Is that the?
They don't really.
Good for society. Here we go. Let's see. Where's crypto? Oh, yes. 35% don't know. 37% said it'll be bad. 28% say it'll be good. So it's not as quite a dire piece of polling data as that would suggest.
At least it's beaten out by lab-grown meat. And even self-driving cars is up there at the same at crypto.
Yeah, that's, to me, this one is, I don't know how anybody says self-driving cars is bad. That to me is unfathomable. And that tells you all you probably need to know about this pool of
polling, whoever's polling them. Yeah, no, like, I mean,
less dead people from driving, less traffic, less pollution. That's a bad thing.
Like, I mean, they would probably been polled and said seatbelts were bad.
Exactly.
And it's. I think everybody thinks that a transition, between when there's self-driving and there's humans driving, there's going to be bumps in the road at that point. There are going to be issues because the algorithms can't always anticipate what a human's going to do until it gets to where there are no humans driving. Then I think it'll be like, because everybody will be like, shit, I go take a nap. Go to Disney World and take a nap in the car. Kick back, watch a movie. I mean, I guess people do that already with the Teslas. They're like, because they're getting in accidents all the time watching movies and shit.
Chuck thinks that everything else on the list will happen before self-driving cars.
Really? That's a bold statement.
That is a bold statement.
Personal space travel.
That's already happened.
But I'm saying, I think what they're saying is like Jetsons type, where everybody just knows.
Oh, okay.
That's what I would think, because it's like you said, it's already happened. Implantable brain machine interfaces, lab-grown meat, crypto, metaverse,
quantum
blockchain.
Computing. So 59% think quantum computing will be good, and yes, it could be good, but I think they're skipping over the disaster that can happen if it does happen.
Dow's up there at number 5.
Oh shit!
That's a surprise.
How did they explain? I want to know how the fuck they explained a Dow to people.
Well, because everybody probably thinks of it as a nonprofit or something like that.
So there's a gateway for crypto right there.
Yeah,
like that's a fucking entry point right there. Because that is an appealing concept, I guess. This idea of people run companies, and that's really interesting.
So 70% are say good or not sure. 28% say bad.
That's pretty awesome.
Most people probably don't really realize that it is crypto.
I love that lab-grown meat is the one ranked as the worst.
I know. Well, who the hell wants? I mean, I get it, but
I've never had it.
I've never eaten lab-grown meat.
But why would it be bad for society? It's like, okay, yeah, you may not like it, you don't want to eat it, but it's not bad for society.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, maybe because they feel like they'd be forced to eat it or something.
Yeah.
Usually when you get these contrary opinions, it's about individual liberty and people feeling like they're going to be forced. I'd say that's probably part of the self-driving car thing too.
Yeah.
That people are like, nobody's telling me I can't drive my, Nova.
Yeah, exactly.
Or my muscle car or my Ferrari or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff, dude.
Yeah. A little more data on that Bored Ape fiasco. $180 million in gas fees. It's like,
so this is the kind of shit that makes people think NFTs are bad.
Well, and it's the kind of shit where it's like you have all this money and you hire like lame ass developers to do your work. I mean, that's what's pitiful about it. Like, from what I've read, anybody worth anything in Solidity development would have told you this was a really stupid way to do this, and now they claim they want to create their own blockchain. It feels like, the marketing guys are in charge at Bored Ape, and you
Yeah,
tech
taking the
side hasn't
180
quoted.
million and giving it to the marketing guys. You know, if you're trying to justify a virtual land sale in your own blockchain, I think you could probably do that for about 1.8 million.
Exactly.
And then you got to bonus everybody the rest.
It's so pitiful, man. They had such a good reputation, and now, at least among real enthusiasts, they're not so good. Not so good, but whatever. Hey, Algorand's going to be the official blockchain of FIFA. FIFA, how do you say that soccer league? I don't know.
I say FIFA. I don't know.
So what I want to know is what are they doing? A like on-chain inventory of soccer balls? I mean, what the fuck is Algorand?
No, the mooch is throwing out the first ball, man.
Yeah, how is a blockchain? What's an official blockchain of soccer? What does that mean?
Maybe like an NFT deployment or something.
I think what it means is we paid to get the designation.
Well, it's up today. It's up 11% on that news. Did the news come out this recently?
I think yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, because I was looking at it yesterday when it was down at 53 cents, and I was trying to remember what price we've been looking at it before. And then, it's run up from 53. It went up to almost 74, and now it's backed off to 66 cents. So, whatever that means, it worked. The press.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So you got to look at what they paid for the sponsorship and what the pop in market cap was.
There you go.
And what the delta
says
is
how
there.
much.
Yeah.
I don't think it
so
says
that's how you
much.
calculate ROI. But I know you're a big Algorand fan.
Me,
so
I could be.
If they hire you to do their UI UX shit, right?
Well, if they just hire a fucking marketer, somebody that has a clue about messaging would be great.
Well, it's kind of, it's falling into that, like, I don't know, Cardano, Stellar, Ripple category in my mind. Sort of like, I don't want to say yesterday's news because that's a little too harsh, but, you just feel like these are all going to do a slow death because, there's more stuff coming, more stuff, DeFi 3.0, 4.0, more different platforms and concepts and DAOs and all this stuff. A lot of these are going to get left behind.
I totally agree with you.
I don't know what the answer is, but, I know that I don't own any algo.
I mean, I have let's see how much it's worth today. Started at about 200. Let's see. Because I did it for shits and giggles. I wanted to give them a shot. Let's see what it's worth today. Oh, it's about where it was, $189. So I'm still down $11. Oh, no. That's how many I have. No, I'm down. I'm at $125 in value. So down $75 off the 200 I put in.
So down about 40%.
Yeah. Where's the staking? Where's my tokens? How does that
when moon?
So we got some conflicting messages with NFTs. So this came out that sale of non-fungible tokens or NFTs fell to a daily average of about 19,000 this week, a 92% decline from a peak of about 225,000 in September. But then OpenSea just set a new daily trading record of 476 million in Ethereum.
What's that second headline? Bored Ape Yacht Club's metaverse launch helped push OpenSea to a new one-day record.
Well, people are spending the money, right? I don't think it's fair to say. I think they're going to still. Yeah, I think there's still going to be things like this that keep pumping it, And so it's like, I don't know. Every time I think NFTs are trailing off for a bit, I don't mean dying. I just mean currently slowed,
cycling.
Something fucking pops and captures people's imagination, and people dive in. And it's just crazy, but it keeps happening. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, I was in OpenSea yesterday. I hadn't been in there in weeks just to see what was going on.
I haven't been in ages.
There's nothing going on, dude, in the stuff that you're probably in. You're looking at last sale 90 days ago.
Yeah.
and no offers are all like 0.001 or something for the
Yeah.
shit that sold the last time for half an ETH.
Yeah.
But I remember that happening once before when NFTs were kind of dead for a while, and then they came back super strong. And I
Yeah.
don't know, I'd love to see the cycle on that vis-a-vis, say, May 2021, when we kind of started sliding after that January to May run up across the board. I'd be really curious to see if there's a correlation between, we always talk about BTC having a blow off top, and then it cycles down through Ethereum and into alts and NFTs and Meta and all that stuff. I'd really like to see more data on that correlation. And is it just that, nothing's really going to happen in this space until BTC has its big run,
Right.
unless you can pick winners, or you get in on early stage stuff,
Right.
like the stuff that we try to highlight here.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about our own stuff. I'm talking about other people's stuff at this point, but I think that you'll get selective stuff like that. Like, for example, my favorite one, the guys on, I think it's on Cosmos, SIF chain, or token is Erewhon.
Syphilis chain.
Yeah, that fucker's up on that investment's up 80% since
Holy
April 15th.
Shit. That's awesome, dude.
So it's like, I started way higher than that. So it's not like I'm.
Oh, no, I thought you were up. I thought you meant you were up.
No, from the bottom in April 15th, it was at like 8 cents, and now it's up around 16 cents. So there is stuff moving. I saw DeFi moving a little bit. So, I think you can pick stuff and win, but I think you need that kind of, everybody's got to have flush wallets before they really start just messing around in NFTs, if you're coming from the crypto side, unless it's something you believe in. I'd like to know of that trading volume, how much of it was, debit and credit card purchases versus how much was,
you're right,
crypto, because that's what I'm
this
curious
is all
about.
Well, I guess it would still show up on the Ethereum blockchain because they have to mint it. So I guess, yeah, you're right.
That would be kind of interesting just to know, because if this volume is being driven by fiat buyers, to me, that's a really good thing. Because that's new people coming into, not necessarily new people, but, a lot would be new coming into NFTs, and then into, getting exposed to the crypto environment in general, mainly, NFTs and metaverse, and probably maybe the first thing they'll see is play to earn gaming that uses NFTs that they'll get exposed to. So I could see that very positive, but I just don't know if that NFT cycle is going to pick back up until everything else does.
Yeah, I think it's going to be dependent on that. I think you're right, man. I really do. I do think that it's absolutely that, that it's going to take the whole market coming to actually see real blowing up on that.
Yeah. But I don't look, NFTs aren't just the collectibles, obviously. We know that, but I think a lot of people just think of it as a pretty picture or something that, wow, that's really cool looking. But, there are ways that they can be used, like the El Salvadoran project with the real estate development, where the NFT is the unit. And so then you could go stake that NFT somewhere and borrow against it, just like you would BTC. So that's the kind of NFT stuff that I really like, is those applications within that token standard, and different terms you can do, like profit sharing and, other things that make in governance that makes a lot of sense. But this stuff here, it's art speculation in my mind. And, I'm sitting on a lot of it. But, when it does come back, one of the things also, just to segue real quick, is that I've been looking at a lot of the stuff that, a friend of mine said, don't buy any alts until they're 95 to 98% off the all-time high. And if you go look at stuff right now, and I'm talking about things, that we've talked about a lot, the ones like, these aren't quite 95%, but if you look at like Uniswap at 6, Define it. Uniswap at $6, Sushi Swap at $2.38, Curves back down to like $2.15, Aave 145. These are all off so significant chunks. Geist, Blizzard, Arby's, Matrix. Even Klima. It's like way down. Start looking at those and acquiring in the sectors you think make sense.
They're strong. Well, look, it's like I had a call last night with Scoopy Truples, the founder of Alchemix, and we were talking about, the value of that token is like at $80 million. I'm still holding, and I'm going to add to it because I love what's coming from them, and they just launched V2. But that is to me is a tremendously undervalued asset. Like this is a massive opportunity. Now I may wait for a little more bleed because I think there's more coming. Like if there's a big dump on Bitcoin, those are all going to get hit worse. But there are some absolutely fundamental plays that the kinds of projects you and I like that have tremendous potential, along with the blue chips that you were just listing, that there will be an up. To me, that is not investment advice. I can't make those predictions, but to my mind, the way I'm thinking about it is we will have all-time highs again.
Absolutely.
And these are fucking deals. So,
how many cycles have we been through now? One, maybe another half, that little mini cycle before the pandemic. And then the big cycle that we did. Well, there were actually 2 cycles I would say in 2021. There was the January to April, May, and then there was October through November. Yeah. Because remember, October, November hit a lot of all-time highs for everything too.
It's true.
So I'm going to say we've been through 3 cycles. There's no reason for it to end now. Everybody is just waiting it out. So the other one I've looked at again was Phantom. They had that issue over the weekend, but not related to their network or anything, just a waiting issue on one trader, one holder.
Yep.
But at 79 cents, Phantom.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I first bought in that at like 95 cents and, rode it to the highs. I think I sold a lot at, 3-ish type range or whatever. Near's back down to like $12, $11.85. That was up at 17 last week. I mean, Near is one that I look at for the next cycle.
I'm still skeptical about Near. I like them. I like the team. I like what they're building. I'm just a little disappointed in how little traction they got last year. I really felt like they had an opportunity and they just didn't get it.
Well, remember we saw that guy pitching Near at that crypto conference here?
Yeah.
And what was he talking about? Sharding rates or something like that?
Yeah, it was a technical guy. It was a technical guy talking technical shit to a bunch of NFT collectors.
Yeah, it just made disconnected completely from everybody.
Totally.
And then Polygon at Matic at $1.10. I mean, Avalanche at 60. I mean, I'm with you. I think that there's I think Bitcoin has the big wick down into the 28, 25 range is my guess now. Right. I don't know when. But when that happens, you're going to see some bleeding in these again. But if you're new and you're just getting going, and you've got, let's say whatever you got, 10 grand, a grand, 100 grand, if you're going to start taking positions, only go in with 25% of that.
Yeah.
And pick, because if it goes down, you want to make sure you have more to add. And if it goes up, I know some people like to press. I don't press. If it goes up enough, I just dump and then wait for it to go back down. But don't just ease your way in. If you're already holding a bunch of this and it's down, you've already DCA'd once or twice. I don't think I'd DCA again at this point. I would wait for this wick down, and then maybe I'd DCA a little bit if you have the cash for it. But, just kind of think along those ways and just don't get burnt. But, my feeling is that whenever I stop thinking about this stuff, that's when it comes back.
Yeah, I agree. Well, here's the question. Maybe we are at the bottom for crypto. Look, Alchemix is down 95%. Everything's down. All those other tokens, my gut tells me we aren't. But what if this is the bottom for crypto now? Because so many people we talk week after week about how much money's piling in and institutional money coming in and everything else. Maybe we don't have too far to go. I have no friggin' clue, obviously, but it makes, when I look at a 95% dump on a project that is like Alchemix, that is severely undervalued, it makes me wonder, it's like, well, how much more can it go? And obviously it can go another 95%, but I don't know.
But most people don't have, aren't as deep in the space as say you are and understand, what Alchemix is doing.
Yeah, that's true.
And,
that's very true.
I know the basics, and, the fact that you can go stake crypto there. I can't remember. They're Ethereum or BTC staking. Which one is it? Which one do you deposit?
Ethereum and
Okay.
now other tokens as well.
Okay, cool. So you go in there, you borrow. I think they got a nice 50% LTV, which I like in this model because it gives you more margin. They're not like running thin at like 85% LTV. It's at 50%, I believe, for most of those.
Right.
At least it was a year ago. And and then they yield farm that somewhere else and pay the loan off for you. I mean, who doesn't like that?
Of course.
And then if your BTC deposits triple, you still got the 3x on BTC. And the loan that you borrowed on that, let's say you put $1 million in there, you borrowed $500,000, you still had that $500,000 in cash to pay for your kid's college education or buy a condo or whatever. And then you get the 3x back. But if Bitcoin goes to zero, which I'm not saying it's going to, I'm just talking about a theoretical situation, you still got that 50% out.
That's
so,
right.
You have like a 50% hedge basically built in, or you've capped your downside. So to me, and at $64 or $63, I mean, I think when I was owning some of that, I think it was like 800 or something like that. I was, buying at like 6, and I think it went up to like 1,200 and I sold or something. It was like, it's had some nice runs, and I don't know what's coming next. But it sounds impressive.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
And they haven't like checked out. They haven't had any issues, nothing. So to me,
oh man,
I'm not jinxing them. I'm just saying that they haven't checked out. So
I mean, look, what are we down 44% off the all-time high on Bitcoin?
I got the algo chart up. Does it say it there?
No, it says in 1 year, 34% down. But I don't know if that tracks off. Well, 68,000 to 38,000. Yeah, that's about 44%. Right? Is that the math?
I'm sorry, 68 to 48?
68 to 38.
68, yeah, 20. So
$30,000
30,000 off of 68. Yeah, that's a good 40%. Yeah.
So we're like 40% off the all-time high in November, right? Yeah, November. I don't know.
Well, I think it's not being, look, this has never been driven by fundamentals. All of this stuff right now, this inactivity, this crabbing, this sideways motion is all because of everybody looking at, macro environment. It's all about inflation, interest rate hikes, war funding, S&P, PEs. Everybody's looking at that as the tell for if crypto's going up or down. But nobody has the answer. Well, what happens if S&P 500 does go down a decent chunk? In the past, that meant crypto went down. But do we know that's going to happen this time?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either.
So you might be right. With all the institutional buying and holding in there, that doesn't sell. And they're certainly not going to sell down. They'll manipulate the whole friggin' market to drive it up before they sell.
Of course.
So, you got the big boys manipulating for the little guys. And, I tend to kind of like that.
Yeah.
So, but you might be right.
I don't know. The 1 year low is what? 29,818. Is that right? No.
Hold on. I haven't been in Binance for a while.
Yeah. No, the 1 year low is 29.
Okay, 1 week.
And that came off a high in April of 63.4. So that big dump in May, that pain. I don't know. Look, I'm
looking at a low of about 28.5, something like that on July 18th last year. Then a nice run up.
Do we really think it's going to break that?
I mean, you don't think Tesla and MicroStrategy and all those guys aren't going to come and pouring in buying shitloads of this?
Speaking of which, another one of my articles. Tesla believes in the potential of digital assets, they said in an SEC filing. And sounds like they're going to go all in on payments, investing, and everything else for crypto.
Do you think is that a Doge play?
Tesla reported $1.26 billion in holdings of digital assets in its first quarter earnings report.
I wonder if they're going to, because everybody always speculates on Doge. And I think he said something about Doge a few days ago. And could Doge be the payment engine for Tesla? And I don't know, man. It's like there's a lot of them out there. So, maybe it could be. I don't know. What is it at 11 cents right now, Doge?
No, I don't know. Hold on.
I don't look. I heard some people talking up Shiba as well, and
I don't look at
could it get to $1? And I'm like, so the company's going to be worth, a quadrillion dollars. I'm sorry. What is it?
Doge is at 12.9 cents.
Okay. So
all right. Well, whatever you're investing in, we don't know what we're talking about, but do your own research. But I wonder if we are at a floor. And if you're investing, don't invest in anything that Wolf of Wall Street's Scott Melker is in, because Zach XBT has made sure that we all know how often Scott Melker dumps on his followers. This man doesn't even wait like a week to sell his fucking seed round buys.
So he's just shilling shit left and right.
He pumps it, and then hours later, he's fucking dumping on all his followers that he told to buy it. And Zach XBT has the receipts. I love this guy. I fucking love when he calls people out, man. Tracked it all back, and just burned him. Just burned him. And this was hilarious. So he tweeted, my old job was better than my new job. I guess he was a fucking DJ. And his wife wrote, tell that to our bank account. So Zach finds that, tweets that, and then his wife blocked Zach.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Look, that's the kind of shit that, SEC types, they're all over this shit at this point. That's easily provable.
Is it provable as what? What would you think the crime is there? Just because he's pumping and dumping? Because he bought the seed. He announces that he bought in the private round, right? But he does make comments like, can't wait to see what this team does, but he's not saying that he's like holding for the long term. So I just wonder.
But that's why there's lockups in public stock,
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
IPOs.
Yeah,
so
yeah, you're right.
You're right. Violating that provision. I'm not saying it's law, and I'm not saying he's breaking any laws. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying that's the kind of thing that is going to put all his shit under a microscope.
Yeah,
when people are openly talking about this.
Yeah,
and that's what we try to. Look, I don't really have enough to make a shitload of money off of dumping on anybody. So anything I'm talking about, I either just own it or I don't.
Yeah, well, he's doing like $25,000, $50,000 seed round buys,
Yeah.
But he's still just fucking dumping on his, he promotes it, and like literally hours later he's dumping. Like he tracks the how much this guy's dumping. So, if you're a fan of Wolf of Wall Streets, tread carefully. Or get in his good side and let him tell you what he's buying today, because you can count on it pumping and then him dumping on you.
Well, yeah, and this is a guy who, I don't know. You said he was a DJ. He really
I guess evidently he was previously a DJ. I don't know his story.
So this is a guy who's doing no analysis on anything,
but pretends to. I think he's
and then he gets in on the seed rounds. I'd be wondering if he's even buying into the seed rounds. And so companies let him in, then he promotes it, and then he sells it.
Yep.
So, to me, that's from an ethical standpoint,
it's shitty. Of course, it's shitty. Here it is. The Wolf of Wall Streets. 827,000 people follow this ass.
Woo.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of SEC enforcement, everybody got all a Twitter on Twitter about the SEC doubling their staff. And then I saw what the number was. They're adding 20 more staffers. So they're going to have like 40 to 50 staffers.
Oh my God. Oh my God. There's 40 people now trying to police the cryptocurrency market.
And it's not just crypto. It's also the cybercrime unit. So I'm like thinking about this in my head, and I'm thinking, okay, you got to have at a minimum 3 staff members on every investigation. Maybe one starts it, but eventually you've got to have the chain analytics guy. You got to have the record searches. You got to, you need more than one person on a case, right?
And a couple more lawyers in there too.
Of course. Yeah. So let's say it's 50 people on this staff, and let's say they only put 20% in cybercrime, right? So now we're down to 40 people on crypto, and let's divide it into teams of 3, right? So at most, let's say 2, at most you got 20 investigations potential at any given time
And
for
those
this group.
investigations don't just run for one day; they tend to go for months,
or years. I mean, look at them; they're prosecuting people from 2017 now.
Oh, they finally got around to that?
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
I thought they were.
And
just
everybody on Twitter's like, oh, they're doubling their staff and read the press release. It's really scary. And I'm like, what? These people are so overworked. And when you add 20 new people, guess what? Most of them haven't investigated any of this shit before because they're all
huge learning curve.
Yeah, huge learning curve. It's just like, look, I want them to have enough staff to go after the people who are defrauding people. And frankly, I think the smaller staff makes it so they have to focus on those things. That's really what I want. And frankly, was it yesterday we were talking about the fact that DeFi is doing their job for them anyway by recently, all the exploits. So, anyway, it just cracks me up.
Yeah, look, I think that, there's a very weird dynamic. I'm not saying it's truth, but it's sort of like you see this thing where, it's like, the regulatory authorities get choked off by, the Hill because, how do I put this politely? But the people that have all the money don't want you digging into their shit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, it's like you see these things always underfunded and understaffed. I remember a buddy of mine at Treasury, this is like 15 years ago, when, there was that, I think it still goes on, the big problem with, all these people having foreign bank accounts and having credit cards attached to them and stashing money and then spending credit cards in the U.S. And so it was getting dragged in under the counterterrorism funding mandates post 9/11. And so I was talking and they're looking around and we were at lunch and I was like, oh yeah, so just who are all these criminals? And he says, well, unfortunately, they're all doctors and lawyers and shit. It's like, so he goes, so this job's going to end in about 3 weeks, is what he told me. And so I was like, oh, interesting. And sure enough, it never went anywhere. It fizzled out. They moved the funding and everybody's like, oh, I don't, see no evil, basically.
Yeah.
And so
it just cracks me up how people react to this shit.
Yeah. But, you'll go pound somebody for a double booking and earned income child credit or something like that. Someone who makes $7,000 a year,
Yeah.
And they put all their resources on that. So, I always look at all these regulatory things as like, hopefully they find the bad guys,
Yeah.
But I would just put 2017 in their rearview mirror at this point. It's too late.
You would think they just write it off. But
isn't the statute of limitations up on most of that stuff? Anyhow,
I don't know how that works. I have no idea. Speaking of getting scammed, men are idiots.
Yes, we are.
Dude, on Tinder or Twitter or wherever else, that beautiful 20-year-old couldn't give a shit about you and is probably a man in Asia somewhere behind a computer. Stop being so fucking stupid. Just please. Guys getting scammed on Twitter because fake girls say they're going to send them nudes. And it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Seriously. There is nobody interested in you that looks like that. I don't care. Unless
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. You're done. Especially dudes in the 40s and above. Stop kidding yourself.
Fat bald guys? Yeah, those 20-year-old girls just love you.
Yeah, they're looking for you, buddy.
Maybe if you got like millions of dollars.
Can't wait to hook up. Stop being fucking idiots.
Yeah, no, I remember being at Consensus New York, that conference a couple of years ago, and just how it was so packed up with all these smoking hot Russian girls running around. And I ran into this guy in line. I'm like, it was what was the name of that company? They did an ICO in Vegas for home repair. I think it was called like Bob's Hardware or something like that. And he shows up. I saw him at the beginning in line and we were chatting. He's like, oh yeah, we just completed our ICO, blah, blah, blah. And, we're here at the conference. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun, talking about that. And so I saw him at the end and he's like, I said, how'd it go? He goes, oh, great. We got some more investors and I got a girlfriend now. And I'm like, surprise. It's like, and I'm like, people just don't get it.
It's so bad.
People that just want to hang out with you for money. But, back to your Tinder story. It's like, the fact that look, there's so much, if that's what you want, there's so much free porn out there already. You know, if you
Yeah.
want nude pictures, just go to Pornhub. I mean, it's just everywhere. You can't escape it.
You're not going to get any closer to these women than you will on Pornhub. So
Right.
stay
Not.
there.
And what was that
And it's
token that
free.
was, what was that token that was around the porn industry that was where people could use it to, like, you know, for the webcam stuff? I remember an ICO of that back in 2017.
I can't think. It's still going around. And the interesting thing is, oh God, it's going to drive me nuts. But the interesting thing is they actually have, I've seen a number of big people in the space quote them for some of the tech that they've released out of that project. That's come out of that project. What's it called? Shit.
Was the token porn? Was the token called porn?
No. It was a weird, maybe the token was called that. No, there's one called Porn Rocket, but that's not the one. It was for sex workers too.
Yeah. To disintermediate the pimps and stuff like that. So you could just fund them direct. For
I can't think of the name of it. If anybody listening knows what it is.
All porn tokens on Medium. Okay, hold on. Let's see what we got. I got Vice token, Pink Date, Sex. No. Wait. Oh, those are escorting ones. Bunny token. Let me see. Live Stars or Spank Chain? One of those
Spank.
two?
Spank is it.
Yeah.
Spank is it.
Voting rights and revenue stream. Yeah.
Evidently, people are really impressed with the tech that's come out of that, which is interesting because one of the primary reasons that the internet succeeded and took off was porn. And a lot of the tech that drove the advent of streaming videos and all the capabilities we have on that side, a lot of that came from the porn industry. So history repeats itself.
Kind of like the old Reagan Star Wars program. You know, where all this technology came spinning out of there. I read it. I don't even remember what it all is, but you can Google it. I mean, just so many of these scientific fields came out of that. $4 billion in funding back in 1980-ish.
Yeah.
And that's what people sometimes.
We have a protective dome over our country, so it's good. No missiles can hit us because that was a success. Now, look, I mean, scientists lined up and they're like, hell yeah, give me that money. Right.
Yeah.
And it didn't actually go into practical use in the military, but it did become practical use outside of that. Like you said, it's like
telecoms, fiber, lasers, all that stuff. I mean, there was so many cool things. So you look at this, I find it interesting that Spank Chain has kind of had a similar effect, sort of the Star Wars analog.
Yep.
Spank Chain.
Joe, that's all I got for the day. I got shit to do anyway.
Me too. I got to go.
Shows.
I think that's it for today, right? That's all. I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, we've solved the culture wars. We've determined the market floor. Strategy. We're taking care of crypto campaign strategies.
And pimped out Spank Chain.
And shilled my Alchemix bag. So we're good. We're good. Life is good.
No. Yeah. So is it at the bottom or not? I invite everybody to BTC.
Yeah, everybody chime in.
And let's talk about that tomorrow.
Put your comments in the YouTube comments or on Twitter under the live stream. Would love to hear what you guys think. Thanks, man. Thank you, Joe. Everybody, thanks for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. We're glad you're here. Please like, subscribe, and review us on Apple Podcast or on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that bell so you get alerts when the next episode comes out. To everyone that's been waiting on the last 2 episodes to hit the podcast feed, my apologies. Anchor's been having a bit of an upload issue since last night, so hopefully that'll be resolved shortly. But I am behind, but it's more fun to blame somebody else. So it's all Anchor's fault. Everybody have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow. Joe, have a lovely afternoon.
Cheers, buddy. Bye, everyone.
See you, bud.